Hit that subscribe, like, comment, share. Tap into the daily uploads at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the live streams, you got picture in picture. And if I don't get to any questions during the live streams or the pods, drop them in the comments. I'll make it part of the weekly mailbag. If you're following on the blue, smash those reactions. I know you're OG. Hit that like, comment, share, tap into the daily content that is the shop. If you're new to the shop, you definitely should be tapped in on the green. No ads, up to 50 emotes free for just being a follower. You do not have to be a supporter to unlock picture in picture, late night streams. Follow us on Kick. We also live on Twitch. Look out for the drops, as well as if you have Amazon Prime, it's free 99 to sub to the channel once a month. Don't let Jeff Bezos stick that money back in his pocket. If you don't use it on the shop, use it on another content creator that you like. I still call it Twitter, but follow us on X. We tweet back. Yo, if you missed the daily shop talks, make sure you tap in for the late night cap on the purple and the green. The Discord is always open. Outside of subs, donos, and cash apps is also another way to support the content. That's by grabbing a trucker hat, a bandana, hoodies, the classic barbershop, Vibe Nation, right out of the official merch store on Tactic, formerly known as Geeks Unleashed. Code Buddha at checkout to get a discount. Yo, 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 yo. We in the shop with it. I hope everybody had a blessed weekend. It was Valentine's weekend. Day for lovers. But it's Sunday. Super Bowl was last week. And it's right back. No time off. We right back in the shop with it. Hope everybody having a blessed night. Kicks Wheel, Nano, KT2 the GOAT. Kelsey, what's good, my boy? We got another comedian in the chat. Wayne, what's popping? Tyler Sage, TJ. Hope everybody having a pretty good Sunday. But now it's time to get into it, man. Y'all know y'all was disgusted with the amount of times that I did mock drafts. I went over free agency. I told y'all everybody to be looking for way back in November and December because Tennessee Titans season been over for, 18, 19 weeks now. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I wasn't one of those ones that waited to now to start looking to see who the Tennessee Titans should be after. Everybody that people are telling you, oh, you should be looking for this person. Oh, you should be looking for that person. Bro, we done been went over it 5,000 times in the shop. You know what I'm saying? Even had my man in the chat today. He's like, yo, bro, like nobody's talking about Garrett Wilson. Like we did a whole shop talk on Garrett Wilson because the Jets was in a similar position. I was like, this is the time that you should be going after people that's on bad teams, trying to get people who were coming to the end of their rookie deal, looking for the second deal. That's when I gave you Jalen Phillips. I gave you Odafe Way. I gave you Kayvon Thibodeau, Boy Mafe, the edge rushers that was going to be coming available. And then the Eagles came and got Jalen Phillips the week after we did the shop talk on edge rushers. And then we started talking about the defensive backs, the wide receivers, the running backs, all over because I was looking to the future. I knew the season was over. I was praying that Cam Ward didn't get hurt. And I'll be damned, the last week of the season is when he got hurt. But at least he made it through without the Tennessee Titans getting him completely killed in his rookie season. See, I've almost followed you for 1,800 days. That's love, my boy. I appreciate you. Salute to everybody that's still tapping into the shop talk. Y'all know we live on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Facebook. Smash them reactions and tap in to the content that is the daily shop talk, where you can be a part. All right, so let's get right into it, man. People been crying about the new uniforms. I don't know why. I personally think if the Tennessee Titans find a way to keep the navy blue, the two-tone blue incorporated, that's why I got my old Chris Johnson jersey. I love the navy. Some people are not crazy about the navy, but They can't deny that this business is about making money. And whenever they pull out anything Oilers related, nostalgic Oilers, the Warren Moon days, the crossover days, when the Titans had what the Texans now have as their colors, when we had those alternate unis, you know what I'm saying? It's only Texans fans crying about Tennessee Titans and their jersey selections. Nobody else is complaining. I personally think the Tennessee Titans have some of the nicest uniforms in football, and people that disagree, like, just go look at the history of the Cleveland Browns logos and their uniforms, and then come back and we'll have a conversation. And for the Texan fans, we don't care about y'all. I know y'all think that y'all are important, but y'all been around for a quarter century and y'all never got past the divisional round. When y'all get to an AFC championship game, I'm not even giving y'all high standards like saying get to the Super Bowl. If y'all get past the divisional round in the next quarter century, then you could come back and revisit crying about the Oilers jerseys. Y'all can't be even Indian givers. You can't make a sale for something and try to get it back. They say I hear that all the time with my team's uniforms. Man, I don't know why. Like, people be really bugging about the uniforms. He said the new stadium is gonna be fire. Yeah, I agree. But I like the new uniforms. James Ryan is the one that I shared out. And if you look at the back end of that reel that I had, where Cam Ward has on that white with the cross in the pads and stuff, like, I think it's gonna be dirty once people see them on. Once people see the uniforms on, they're gonna shut up. You can have a new stadium, you can have a new team with a new coach, with a new attitude, a new mentality, and we're gonna get some primetime games, and we're gonna be putting belt to ass on some teams, and people are gonna forget about all the crying about the uniforms. But what's more importantly than the uniforms is the people inside the uniforms, which is Tennessee Titans right now projected, like I told y'all, over $100 million in cap space. Let's not make the same mistakes we made with Rand, which was reaching on players with name to try to fill holes fast. Let's take the approach of getting quality players across the board and adding depth, because when you look at the teams that really made a push in this year's playoffs, that's what they had. They had depth and solid across the board, and they won in the draft. When you talk about Nick Emenwari, when you talk about K9, you talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba, talk about Spoon, those guys were guys the Seahawks drafted. And I think that's the direction that the Tennessee Titans need to stick with, the draft and develop method. And we about to get into it right here with the Raiders following close behind, obviously with the number one pick, the Chargers, the Jets, and the Commandants rounding out the teams that have, it's a lot of good teams that have good cap space. And while we're looking at that cap space, I also wanted to show y'all how the roster currently looks before we really get into this free agent breakdown and who the Tennessee Titans should take if Bain and Reese are off the board. All right, so obviously Dan Moore is still under contract. Peter Skoronski, I think, should get an early extension if possible. Lloyd Cushenberry, even though I have people in the comments daily telling us that we should cut Lloyd Cushenberry and basically save $0 just for the hell of it, to go try to find somebody to play center when you have Corey Levin you could bring back, when you could just move Jackson Slater and go ahead and shit or get off the pot and decide that he's going to play center or guard. And also, like, who you going to get? Tyler Lindenbaum? Like, there's no guarantee that you're going to cut Lloyd Cushenberry and then go sign. Like, it's just wasted motion. I think making crazy moves will put us back in the same position that we've been in for some time. Like, I just think that that's stupid. Yes, that's my current outlook on it. I personally think that right here on screen is exactly what the offensive line should look like. I think you should bring Oli Udoh, who actually played pretty serviceable. Not John Ojukwu, but when Oli Udoh came back, I thought he played pretty serviceable. Corey Levin, is a guy that's been with the Titans forever that look good every time that he comes in. And then when you look at Moss is still under contract, and Dellinger, I believe, is still under contract. When you look at the Tennessee Titans free agents, they're gonna have to sign around 25 to 30 players, including the rookies. And when you really break that down and look at who all the Tennessee Titans have got, when you get down here to some of those guys that they picked up later in the year, I felt like that was Bergonzi making moves for the future of trying to add guys that would be potential depth in the future. Like Drew Moss is gonna get $1 million to come back. Crenshaw Dixon will be under contract next year. Another swing tackle to go with Oli Udoh. So that's my thought. I think that's the direction that they should go in when it comes to the offensive line, because if you're gonna go out and spend a bunch of money like they did last year with Zietler, who got $9 million for 1 year, then you're gonna be saying, like, if you don't get Wyatt Teller or like probably secondary like Vera Tucker or somebody like that, like just go ahead and put Jackson Slater in and groom him, or look for somebody in the draft to add depth. That's my honest to God's thought. And then when you look at everybody else, depending on what they decide to do at running back, Tony Pollard's on his last year, Tajay's on his last year. If you cut Pollard, you're only going to eat $2 million. And then the big decision to be made on offense will be Calvin Ridley. I think the decision with Chig Okonkwo has already been made. I don't think the Titans are going to give him 10 plus million, which he probably is going to be able to get in this market. But Calvin Ridley is going to be the main decision, a guy that's going to be, 25 to $30 million if he plays next season. Titans not hurting for money. If they really believe in Rid, in his recovery and what he could bring to the team, they could actually roll it back if they wanted to. But if not, obviously the obvious names is Romeo Doubs, Alec Pierce. I don't know if you get into a bidding war with any of those guys and overpay like we have in the past, paying the bad team tax. I think the Tennessee Titans need to have some self-pride and stop doing the Dan Moore bad team tax. I just think they need to get out of that. Then when we go into the defense, this is something that is going to be interesting with the defense, because on the line, I've actually tweeted this guy and told him, hey man, come on back. Sebastian Joseph Day is a perfect free agent acquisition, a guy that's going to show up to work and be a professional. When we talk about that secondary who had 17 different defensive backs play, the jury's still out on what they decide to do with L'Jarius Sneed. Everybody's thought is they may just cut him and just let the process, solve itself. But I'm not so sure, given the current market. If you cannot get Tariq Woolen, if you cannot get Nashawn Wright, if you can't get Alontae Taylor, some of these guys that's out here that I know the Titans should have on their list, like Michael Robinson's a practice squad guy. Xavier Woods got 1 year left. This is the biggest part that I think that we have to worry about. How do they see Kevin Winston as Nick Emenwari? Are they going to move him permanently to the slot? If you look at Emenwari, who's the same type of makeup of player, these guys are box guys. These are guys that can line up on a receiver, a running back, a tight end. They can blitz. They're in run support. Are they going to leave Marcus Harris outside and move Kevin Winston permanently to the slot and potentially go after bringing Kevin Byard back or Minka Fitzpatrick, or even putting Woods at free? I think you got to get younger and faster. I think Woods would be a solid backup for $4 million. I don't think you save a lot of money by moving Woods and then paying somebody else $2 or $3 million, trying to save $1 million here or there, being cheap. I think you keep a quality player. He led the defensive backs in interceptions last season, being a good spell veteran to be in a locker room. But the question they have to ask themselves is, do you play Kevin Winston in the box at nickel in Robert Saleh's defense, or do you leave him back deep? And if you leave him back deep, that puts Marcus Harris back inside, and then if you cut L'Jarius Sneed, this guy's your only cornerback that you have on the roster. Like that, he's the only one that you got. Ali Gay, I think, may be out of there. Jalen Harrell and Truman Jones actually was productive in the spell role. Arden Key is out of there. Femi obviously is back with Cody Barton, Cedric Gray, James Williams. Dorian Mausi was a free agent special teamer. Not so necessarily that he'll be in the rotation, but you know, depending on what they do with Kevin Winston, this is going to tell me a lot about what they decide to do with this defense, and where they see Kevin Winston player, which is a big package of the circle of life in the NFL that we traded the pick for the Seahawks to get Emin Ward, to get Femi and Kevin Winston, because we didn't have a third round pick because of L'Jarius Sneed. And obviously enough, Mike Bergonzi and Veach was the reason why, with Rand Carthon is the reason why L'Jarius Sneed got traded from the Chiefs to the Titans, and then now is a player that could be potentially cut to add to the Tennessee Titans free agent dollars, which leads the league. Or do they say, we're not listening to the outside noise, we're gonna let L'Jarius Sneed play out, and we're gonna let Calvin Ridley play out. We got enough money to fill the roster and enough draft picks to do what we need to do, because you're not going to get any draft picks for Calvin Ridley or L'Jarius Sneed as it sits. So this might be a situation where they might just be patient to see if you could get a desperate L'Jarius Sneed back healthy, or Calvin Ridley. You don't have anything work out in free agency, and you wind up letting Calvin Ridley play the role inside the rotation that Van Jefferson and Bryce Oliver would, and move on like this, and attempt to get another wide receiver. Because this is the thing the Titans can do with their free agent money and with their draft picks. The Tennessee Titans can take the pressure off of themselves in the draft simply by saying, you know what, we're gonna fill this edge rusher with we're going to fill this edge rusher position right here with a Kayvon Thibodeau, with a Jalen Phillips, with a Boy Mafe or a Daf Elway or Trey Hendrickson. You have to think about things like that. Like, you know, if the Tennessee Titans was to put to do something like that, then that changes the whole dynamic of how you look at the top of the draft, of saying you got Femi, Jeffrey Simmons, T Sweat, which could still potentially be moved, and then Trey Hendrickson or any of the other free agents. It changes how they look in their top five. Specifically the same situation that you would be looking at if the Titans was to go out and bring in an Alec Pierce. We're talking about 6'3", 210-pound dunker, 40 catches, 1,000 yards that you be adding with Ailmana, DK, potentially even still having Ridley on the roster if you don't move him. But I think if you got Alec Pierce, you probably go ahead and cut Rid and look at like one of the veteran options to bring back to add to that room along with the draft to just completely solidify certain positions. So the Titans can put themselves in a position with that free agent cap space to really add some depth. I know people looked at Kyle Pitts, people looked at Isaiah Likely, but what if they did something like this? What if they added like a Cade Otton with Gunnar Helm and gave you two big physical tight ends that have huge catch radiuses that will help you in the run game if you want to go to a more physical style of play. And because the thing about Chig Okonkwo, never missed a game, led the team in yards after catch, receptions and yards, but not the best blocker in the run game. If you wanted to change to a more physical style and let David Martin Robinson be your move tight end, and then potentially even go after somebody later in the draft like you did with Gunnar Helm at tight end for the future, you could take a lot of different type of directions that would change the nature of the outlook of your draft if you're the Tennessee Titans. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with this money, man. I mean, there's the thought that Tony Pollard could get cut. You could go after K9 or Breece Hall, or if getting into our next subject, the next topic, this is, I think, is one of the most interesting things that everybody says, take Ruben Bain, take David Bailey, take Carnell Tate. Like, it's a foregone conclusion the Titans are going to take Ruben Bain or Arvell Reese. By Trinidad Chambers going back to school, by Dante Moore going back to school, and Ty Simpson probably being QB2 in this upcoming draft behind Fernando Mendoza, who didn't help himself in the playoffs, was Ty Simpson. If the Raiders take Fernando Mendoza at 1, what if the Jets, who have 2 first-round picks, and the Cardinals, who are sitting there and still have to do something with Kyler Murray, decide that Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain are picks 2 and 3, and you're the Titans and you went all in on saying, like, I'm going to for sure get one of those guys in the draft, and what if they're both off the board? Then who comes the next best option for the Tennessee Titans to add to the roster? They have to think about cutting Tony Pollard and eating the 2 meal and taking one of the most dynamic players in the draft, one of the most complete players in Love at running back, especially if they make moves outside in free agency at wide receiver and tight end. Also, I don't even listen to people that talk about taking a right tackle and saying that we're going to bend into a tackle, and 3 of the last 4 drafts in the top 10, and still cranking out $82 million to Dan Moore and $55 million to Cush. I just don't see that. I think JC in the line after the bye week, after the Callahans were out the door, wound up looking a whole lot better. I don't think you're burning pick 4 there. I don't think that there's a cornerback that you take at 4. I don't think anybody's good enough in this draft to take at 4. And if Bain and Reese are off the board, I hear people saying David Bailey, but David Bailey is a pure pass rusher. I think in a wide 9 that Robert Saleh's gonna want to run. I think a pure pass rusher that adds nothing to the run game, I think you could find other pass rushers that would give you what David Bailey would give you if you just wanted a pure pass rusher in the draft. Especially with you having money in free agency to just go after a legitimate veteran, just pure pass rusher, if that's what you wanted to add. I think if you was picking, in that top 4 and Ruben Bain and Arvell Reese were off the board, and you didn't have a guy that could truly be a combination player like we seen in the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, with the Patriots, stop the run, then get after the quarterback. That's what you've seen from the Broncos. That's what you've seen from the Rams with Jared Verse. People that could really set the edge as well too. I don't think that Bailey just in a dual role would be that effective in Robert Saleh's defense. And some of y'all might disagree, and that's fine. But I honestly think that the Tennessee Titans, if given in that position, may be inclined to go after best player available, which would shock people by taking Love. Or I think the best receiver upside in the draft is Tyson. But if they wanted to go Carnell Tate to try to be their wide receiver 1 with the track history of the Ohio State wide receivers in the last decade of drafts, I don't think he's good as Jeremiah Smith, but who knows? I mean, Carnell Tate could turn out to be that type of player. Caleb Downs at free safety. If you were going to move Kevin Winston into the box, we talking about just complete can't miss players. Love and Caleb Downs would be it. If Bain and Reese were off the board, I just think if you was to trade back, or if you was to look at edge rusher after 4, if those 2 were off the board, I think when I look at Zion Young and TJ Parker and some of these other guys, that I would rather have a more combination player than just a pure pass rusher and Bailey. But I've been wrong before. And this is all about options. This is like, there's no way to know the mind of Mike Bergonzi and the 55 different GMs that are in the building for the Tennessee Titans. But when I look at that free agent money in the pick, of course I've done a million mocks where I took Reese and I took Bain, but sometimes you got to get outside the box and think about what could the Tennessee Titans potentially do if Ruben Bain and Arvell Reese were off the board, because the Tennessee Titans have to make the complete 53 better, and they have to get difference makers onto the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Calvin Ridley, what they do with L'Jarius Sneed. How do they see Kevin Winston Jr.? Is he Nick Emmett Warrior in the box, or are they going to keep him deep and move Marcus Harris back into the slot? All these things are going to be interesting. What they decide to do, in free agency, if they did go after one of the veteran names at right guard, then truly would you commit to making Jackson Slater the center of the future? And then, going after, I don't think Wyatt Teller comes over, but you could think about like a Vera Tucker or somebody coming in, a veteran right guard. It's going to be interesting to see exactly the thought process of the front office, the new front office of the Tennessee Titans, the Mike Bergonzi era of what they decide to do with this roster. And now that I have got through that spiel, I'm gonna open the doors of the church. If y'all got any questions, any input that y'all think we should do different with the roster, man, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and shoot, and I'm gonna get caught up on the chat. Waiting next season to be refreshed. Put a Super Bowl banner in a new stadium will be fire. Should be better coming off year 2. Yeah. We do the GM game. To be honest, you could trade Pollard to some, but that's the thing about Pollard is nobody's gonna trade for Pollard and pay him $9 million this year. You're not like if Breece Hall, if you could just sign Breece Hall or you could just sign K9, there's no chance that somebody wants to trade a draft capital to get Tony Pollard and pay him $9 million. Nor would the Tennessee Titans want to split any of that for a draft pick, because you can, if you're the Titans and you're done with Tony Pollard, even though he had 1,000 yards the last couple of seasons with the Tennessee Titans, you just eat the $2 million. You got a league leading cap space. You go from 104 million to 102 million, like just to cut him. And then Tajay Spears, a top 100 running back, pick at running back, and Khalil Mullins is still there, and you have the draft. So Tajay is obviously on his last year, and then Khalil Mullins should be healthy in year 2. Big Jeff says Cashapp. Yo, Dragon Stick is in the chat. My dog, Big Jeff, with 1,000 stars, a $10 Cash App, direct dono. He said, keep it up. Man, appreciate the love, Big Jeff. I'll stay off the Cowboys' neck for at least 24 hours before I go back in on them. Dragon Stick is in the chat for my dog, Big Jeffrey Dub. He said, keep him, to be honest. Eugene, what's good with them Raiders going to do with their number 1 pick? We could trade mid-season if we need another build-up. That's the thing, though. It's like trading mid-season. Your best trade value right now is Will Levis, preseason. Mid-season, like, who's going to eat that much cap for Calvin Ridley? That would mean he would be having to have a good start to the year, and then why would you move him if he starts off good? L'Jarius Sneed, if he beats his court case, they don't cut him, and he comes back healthy next year. For the money, you know what I'm saying? Like L'Jarius Sneed, when on his game with a new front office and a new coaching staff, you might spend more money and not get something as good as that. Then who's trading for L'Jarius Sneed coming off 2 years of injury? The reason he got traded to the Titans in the first place, and then it's like it's no value in any team to trade for the players that we would want to trade, because 1, they're not healthy, 2, they got off the field issues, and 3, nobody's going to eat that type of cap and give up trade value with a pretty deep draft coming up. He said Jeremiah Love, Broncos could trade for Pollard. No, they just drafted RJ Harvey, or they would have brought Javonte Williams back, who is better than Tony Pollard. Cowboys is definitely not taking Pollard back. That spell running back that they got, plus old boy from Texas that they drafted, bro, like they're definitely They definitely. I think the Cowboys will want to bring back Rico Dowdle before Coney Pollard. If we're being honest, win the new stadium rather next year. Appreciate y'all dropping those dragon stickers in the chat, man. Appreciate everybody who react to the stream so far. If y'all got any questions, man, we are 30 minutes in to the shop talk. And I kind of went over what I thought the Titans should do if Ruben Bain and Reese are off the board. A lot of people are high on David Bailey. I don't think he's necessarily the best fit for Robert Saleh's defense, but only time will tell. As well as what would the Titans do with their cap space? We kind of went over that. I don't think the Titans should be in paying the bad team tax to reaching out, spending way more money than what a normal team should pay for some of these players. I think if you wanted to burn some money and you're the Tennessee Titans, and I wanted to burn some money for this roster, if I'm not getting Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs, I'm not overpaying for either one of those. Even in the running back situation with K9 or Breece Hall, you're paying $9 million for Pollard. If you can find a way to shuffle the money and get K9 or Breece Hall instead of Pollard for the same money, then without having to sign them to a long-term deal, I think not at the top of bringing Chiga Okonkwo back for $10 million plus, or going after Isaiah Likely or Kyle Pitts. I think a guy like Cade Otton or one of the big physical blocking tight ends that can still catch would be a better option if you're going to spend some money. The only place I would spend money at on the offensive line, if you didn't think you could start Jackson Slater, which I think is a poor man's version of Scoro at right guard, I think you bring back Udo and Levin, and if it's a Vera Tucker or somebody like that you wanted to try at right guard, I just don't see Wyatt Teller leaving the Browns to come to Nashville at the end of his career. We spent $9 million on Zeitler last year and that didn't work. And then on defense, if you could go out and get a Trey Henderson, a Jalen Phillips, Kayvon Thibodeau, Boy Mafe, Adafio Way, if you could bring in one of those guys, it changes the way you look at the draft, because Femi comes back for year 2. And then one of the biggest decisions, I think personally, outside of easy decision to bring SJD back, is having whether you're going to play Kevin Winston in the nickel like Emin Wari in the box, because Emin Wari plays in the box like 90% of his snaps, or do you want to leave Kevin Winston Jr. back deep and you're going to be moving Marcus Harris back into the slot, and then the decision to be made with L'Jarius Sneed. So, obviously you got CJ Ravenel and James Lynch, guys that would be playing interior line as depth guys that'll probably be brought back. So it'll be interesting to see. I think if you're going to spend some money, Tariq Woolen, Nishawn Wright, Alontae Taylor, some of the better free agent corners in the draft. I think the Bears cornerback room is overloaded. And when we get into it by position, because the Titans have to sign a lot of players. When we look at it by position, this is the important part that I like to do, is by saying, if we're going to look at corners that are free agent corners by market value, Trevon Diggs, Jamel Dean, Eric Stokes, Greg Newsome, Tre'Davious White, St. Juste, it's Jason Pinnock is a guy coming from the 49ers, would be an obvious person that they would look at. Josh Jobe, it's some interesting candidates out here to see who Robert Saleh wants to take a shot at. So it won't be a matter of money. It'll be a matter of fit and a matter of getting somebody that's hungry, that would like to play in Nashville. Also, with my situation that I said, do you want to play Kevin Winston in the box or play him back deep? When you got Kevin Byard, obviously the Dolphins will be trying to move Minka. There's some interesting guys at safety that the Tennessee Titans might want to add to that safety room, which was decimated last year. I think they had 3 safeties put on IR after the 49 going into the 49ers game that Robert Saleh coached against us. There's always the question mark of, will they move T'Vondre Sweat? How do they feel about him? There are going to be some free agent interior linemen like Jonathan Franklin Myers that the Tennessee Titans could be looking at if they decide to not go If they decide to move one of Rand's last big draft picks that the Tennessee Titans are on the fence about, along with edge rushers, like I said, Trey Henderson, Boy Mafe, Adafio Wade, Kayvon Thibodeau, Jalen Phillips, and it's going to be some other guys, some guys that are a little bit less known, that they could potentially be looking at. But when you just go through the free agent, which I go to Spotrac on mine, but to look at some of and David Njoku, Kyle Pitts, so like some of the household names you got at tight end that the Tennessee Titans could be looking to bring in. I think they should be looking at players that are coming into their second contract, going into they're around 24 to 26, maybe 27 years old, that you could sign and have throughout the rest of Cam Ward's rookie deal, like a Cade Otton that's 26. Those would be some good some good options to add to the Tennessee Titan roster with all that money they got. What do you think of the new logo that's being leaked? That's what we started off on. We started off on talking about the new logo. Let's see. I'll show it. I'll put it back on the screen. I personally like it. I think when people see the overall uniforms, they'll be kind of lit. It's a money game. The Tennessee Titans, I'm not buying the same jerseys. I'm not buying the same colors. When they drop Oilers things, anything nostalgic of the Tennessee Titan fan base goes crazy and buys it up. People that are not Titan fans like the colors, like the look. I just hope that whatever they do with this, that they decide to keep the navy blue, which makes it the two-tone blue. I personally like the two-tone blue look in mine personally. He said, so Jeffrey Simmons gets an extension. Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons and Skoronski both should get extended, because, I mean, those are the guys that when you look at from John Robinson's 2 years to Rand's 2 years of swinging and missing at like 30 different draft picks, when you do hit on somebody and they actually fit what you're doing going forward, Skoronski needs to get paid. And if you pay people early, look at the Eagles, look at the teams that do so well with their rosters. They pay people early and they get people on time. I'm sorry, Jeff. If you're the Dallas Cowboys and you pay everybody late, you always put yourself in a pinch of of being in cap hell and not knowing how to get out of cap hell. Pitts could be franchise tag, could be. What's even crazier about that is hearing Stefanski really, really, really likes Kirk Cousins. So who knows what they're gonna do there. He said, GOAT, what's good, Q? He said, no, David Njoku, though. I don't think the Titans would go after Njoku. But I do like like a Cade Otton or somebody like that to go with Gunnerham, guys that I could book in the side. And if I want to run the ball, I can run it. And if they get matched up with a safety or a linebacker, they're going to eat. Because Cam Ward needs that 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", frame, and I hope they keep that in mind when they're going after the receiver one position. Cam Ward needs catch radius. He's the type of person that's gonna put it in your vicinity and see if you can go get it. And when you look at the upcoming draft, from Chris Brazel to Jacoby Lane, Denzel Boston, Chris Bell, Malachi Fields, we got to see what Nick Harbor. I think Nick Harbor's gonna blow some people away in the combine. I think he's going to run a 4.2 at 6'5" and going to make some people's heads explode. But, when you think about some of the dunkers that's out there, I hope the Tennessee Titans get somebody that can dunk. Now, Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson definitely fit that mold. I think if you wanted a twitchy guy, I've been all along before anybody even mentioned his name with Zachariah Branch. But this should be an interesting a lot of good players are going to come off the board in the top 100 picks at a lot of positions. I hope the Tennessee Titans are able to strike at receiver. Hope they're able to strike at edge. I hope they're able to strike at defensive back, running back, And in those day 2, day 3s, I hope that, Tennessee Titans can add some solid players. If y'all seen all my mock drafts, it's going to be around. Tennessee Titans cleaned up in day 3 last year with Chim DK breaking the rookie record, being a Pro Bowler, Gunnar Helm breaking rookie records at receiver, Alec Ailmoner in the 4th round, him along with Chim DK being part of a rookie tandem that broke records. And then you look at Jackson Slater, who is either going to play guard or center. I hope that they're able to get him in at guard this year and not blow a bunch of money in free agency. And then obviously you got Marcus Harris, who I thought was the most talented defensive back playing corner this year in our roster when it was all said and done, with a lot of upside that can play inside and out, along with Khalil Mullins. I thought the Tennessee Titans did pretty good, and then getting Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted guy that signed to futures. I think that another draft like that and a good solid free agent period with all this money of not just like getting strung out, chasing tail and overspending with the bad team tax. I think the Titans can put together a solid roster for this upcoming season. He said, what do we feel about I'm not talking about DJ Vlad right now. We're talking about Tennessee Titans free agency. Like I think we could save that for another day, another time to actually care about any of that stuff. Y'all got any more football questions about Tennessee Titans and any of that? Like those questions is more safe for a mailbag. Like that's a good question, for a mailbag, not Tennessee Titans free agent draft shop talk though. All right, y'all got any more football questions? And while y'all thinking of those questions, we're going to hit that subscribe, like, comment, share, tap into the daily uploads at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the live streams, you got picture in picture. And if I don't get to any questions during the live streams or the pods, drop them in the comments. I'll make it part of the weekly mailbag. If you're following on the blue, smash those reactions. I know you're OG. Hit that like, comment, share, tap into the daily content that is the shop. If you're new to the shop, you definitely should be tapped in on the green. No ads, up to 50 emotes free for just being a follower. You do not have to be a supporter to unlock picture in picture, late night streams. Follow us on Kick. We also live on Twitch. Look out for the drops, as well as if you have Amazon Prime, it's free $99 to sub to the channel once a month. Don't let Jeff Bezos stick that money back in his pocket. If you don't use it on the shop, use it on another content creator that you like. I still call it Twitter, but follow us on X. We tweet back. If you missed the daily shop talks, make sure you tap in for the late night cap on the purple and the green. The Discord is always open. Outside of subs, donos, and cash apps, is also another way to support the content. That's by grabbing a trucker hat, a bandana, hoodies, classic barbershop, Vibe Nation, right out of the official merch store on Tactic, formerly known as Geeks Unleashed. Code Buddha at checkout to get a discount. All right, that's a good question, Frank. Frank has a question. He says, if they have to spend 90% of the cap, how do they still draft and develop? All right, that's a good question. And I'll bring up the roster for you. A good bit, the cap can roll over. I think that's why you extend Skoronski and Big Jeff as the first part of your cap to show appreciation to the players that rode out this tough time. Secondly, that cap is not even with L'Jarius Sneed or Calvin Ridley being cut. And if you decide that you're going to move on from Tony Pollard, you're only going to eat $2 million. So when we talk about, like, let's say if the Titans was the completely blow cap, right? Like, let's say on offense, they spent $20 million on Alec Pierce, cut Ridley, let's say they spent like $6-7 million on Veer Tucker, and they went and like looking at Spotrac, I know how much these guys projected value is. Kate Otten is like 7 million. So let's say you spent 7, that's 14 plus 20. You spent $34 million at the positions that the Titans are trying to fill. That's about as much as you could spend. Even if you was to cut Tony Pollard and eat the $2 million, and you're not gonna pay him the other 7, and you turned around and Robert Saleh decided, I'm bringing Breece Hall over here, and his projected is the same as what Tony Pollard, the same $9 million he's getting. You just blew $34 million on your offense. You've added pieces. Your whole goal of draft and develop still will be drafting another running back because Tajay Spears is on his last year. It still will be on drafting another receiver. You'll be looking at, if you went with Pierce, you know, when you talk about those top 100 receivers, the Zachariah Branches, the Chris Bell, who's going to fall because of his injury, Jeremy Bernard, you think about all the guys that are going to be second and third round. A.J. Brown is arguably the best receiver the Titans ever drafted, outside of saying Derek Mason. When you think about that, A.J. Brown was a second round pick, and they had a first round pick, Corey Davis, already there. So if you're drafting, you still, the bulk of your offense is Chimdike, Alec Eomoner, who you draft, Xavier Restrepo. Alec Pierce is just a veteran presence that should give you more production than what you got in Van Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, and Calvin Ridley. If he actually does what he did on the Colts, 40 catches, 1,000 yards, 6'3", 200 pounds, you still would be the bulk of your team is drafted players. Now, you did sign Cushenberry, Dan Moore, but you still have J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronski, and Jackson Slater, who, if you did go veteran and spend money on free agent, would be your center next year after Cush is gone. 3 of your 5 starting offensive linemen would still be there, and you still have Crenshaw Dixon that you would be grooming. And in my mock draft, I have the left tackle from Indiana that I drafted in the later rounds, who will be grooming to go behind Dan Moore when you're finally able to get out from under his contract. Gunnar Helm would be tight end 1. He would be drafted and developed. David Martin Robinson is a homegrown guy. And then you'd be adding a veteran presence in Cade Otton, who would be less dynamic than Chig Okonkwo, who you drafted, but he'd be less money and he'd be a better run blocker. So even if I've made all these changes on offense, the bulk of the offense is still based around people that you draft and develop. All right, then we get into the defense. Depending on what you want to do with Kevin Winston Jr., Cedric Gray is a guy. James Williams is a guy that at some point you hope takes over Cody Barton's spot as he's easing out. Jalen Harrell is a guy you drafted. Truman Jones is kind of like a young project that goes along with Jalen Harrell. Hook, depending on what you do with L'Jarius Sneed, but Big Jeff, T Sweat. I mean, most of what you're going to be trying to do is draft a left edge. You're going to be trying to draft another linebacker that can go in this rotation, like a Jacob Hernandez or a Perkins out of LSU. At free safety, if depending on if you're going to move leave Kevin Winston back deep, then most of what you'll be doing is putting a veteran presence out here. Like, let's say you brought back Baker Jr., a guy that we've pretty much developed since being a waiver wire pickup. You know, this guy would be a depth guy. And if you even if you was to go out and spend money on, let's say you did get Woolen and Nashawn Wright or Alontae Taylor, right? You're still going to be drafting 2 other cornerbacks at these other spots that go along that's going to be developing. Regardless of what you do, it's still going to be draft and development, even if you spent money. So like, let's say you like really was going to ball out. Let's say you spent money on Tariq Woolen and you went and brought Kevin Byard back at free. And let's say you got Trey Hendrickson. All right, 20 million, 10 million, 50 million. Let's say you spent 50 million on the defense with Sebastian Joseph Day and Darrell Baker Jr. coming back for next to nothing, more than likely, combined. So like, even if you spent 90 million of the 110 million that you have, you still have 20 million left in cap space. Look at the Spotrac numbers for all the teams. Half the NFL is in a deficit. You still will have 20 million. You still could sign all your rookies and still have money left over. And I just blew out the water. And you still would be saying, I need to draft my cornerbacks of the future. I need to draft my edges of the future. My linebackers that's going to replace Cody Barton. The play in the nickel wide, you're going to be in a new defensive scheme. You're probably going to get another late round safety for when Xavier Woods drops off his contract next year. So it's still going to be draft and develop. But draft and develop is, hey, I got some guys that by the time next year hit, like Cedric Gray didn't play year 1. Year 2, we seen what Cedric Gray is. Year 3, we're going to see James Williams start to compete for some of these spots. Year 2, look about what Femi could be. Same with T-Sweat. Same with Winston. Same with Marcus Harris. It's still going to be the bulk of your roster. The future of your team is going to be the guys that you draft and develop. But the guys that you bring in as free agents is guys you hope can help galvanize the roster and actually produce when they're out there. Not guys that you're going to pay them and they're going to be indicted for allegedly being part of drive-bys or having to wear horse blinder shades to try to catch the football. No disrespect to Calvin Ridley and Snead. We was all ecstatic when we got those players, but it just hasn't worked out. That was a good question though, Frank. That was a great question. That'll probably be like its own part of the YouTube. Make sure y'all follow it on the YouTube at 7 a.m. The breakdowns of these shop talks go up as its own content. Deacon Loafin, what's good, my boy? They said these uniforms give the Titans a perk 30. We finna win the division. The uniforms are not gonna help us on the field. With that theory, they still haven't touched a corner room, and we only have one corner on the contract. We need. Did I not just go over the entire defensive back room with my theory? I started with the offense. I got to the secondary. If you're gonna move Kevin Winston Jr. to the nickel to play the Emmett Warrior role, and you signed Tariq Woolen and brought Darrell Baker back with Marcus Harris playing outside, and you still don't know what you're gonna do with Snead, you still gonna be drafting 2 cornerbacks. They would give you 6 defensive backs in the room. So I mean, I addressed it. I just don't think you was patient enough to wait for me to roll all the way through it. I started with the offense though. He said that's why I think the bad team tax don't fall in place because not every team can pay them. I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna say the coaching has a lot to do with it. If we would have had Matt Nagy or Brian Callahan back, I don't think that we get a shot at any of these free agents. I just don't. I don't think that, you know, that we even get to look at Wan'Dale Robinson or any of these guys if we're talking about the coaching. But if you're a defensive player and you're a free agent and Robert Saleh is going to be building a defense with Jeffrey Simmons, and you look and see some of the pieces that's there and the money they can spend, you could be enticed to come in. Just like Mike Vrabel went to the Patriots and all the different pieces he brought in to get that defense whipped around. And then who's the superstar of the Patriots defense? Christian Gonzalez. It's the guys you draft that wind up being the superstars of the team. Just like the Seahawks. Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith and Jigba, K9, like AJ Barner, Gray Zabel. Those are the guys that they drafted who are the stars. Those veterans are just coming in and locking in place. Kelsey, what up? Bro, why did it just go from multi-stream back to just Facebook? All right, now I'm about to go through to get caught back up on people's questions. Because sometimes, like, I got a new update on Streamlabs, and sometimes the multi-chat just goes crazy. All right, I do think I'm caught up on everybody's, though. I think I'm caught up in everybody's question. If y'all got any more questions, go ahead and shoot. Cause sometimes like the chat will reset, because it was only showing me like one chat, but I got 4 different chats up, so I can manually go through them, but I don't be wanting to miss nobody's questions. But hopefully that answered your question, though, Frank, because I was just trying to make sure that I got. Because I'm a creator that like I want y'all questions. I'm gonna I love the engagement and the interaction in the chat. I'm not one of those people that feel like I'm too smart for my audience or feel like I'm above y'all questions or whatnot. That's what to me that's what makes the shop is our ability to engage each other. Dre, they say what I missed. We went over the new helmets. We went over what we should do with the free agent money, and we went over what are we gonna do if RVL Reese and Ruben Bain are both off the board at 4. What direction would the Tennessee Titans go in? But you know, Dre Day, we're gonna run it back on YouTube in the morning at 7 a.m. He said, I still don't understand how the brain remembers that I forgot something, but doesn't remember what that thing was. You just not focusing. It's trying to force you to remember. It could be your diet. It could be lack of sleep. Could be a lot of things. Reason why, because your brain could be distracted by cell phones and the internet. It could be anything. It could be stress. Like our brains and our bodies remember things that are passed down genetically. So it's not necessarily just that. Get some rest if you feel distracted. He said, I wonder what of the uniforms would look futuristic or future realistic. I'm confused with that question. Let's see. Let me see if I can show. Let's see, where's that reel? I got I think it's on Twitter. I'll show you on Twitter. I'll show you on Twitter. It's a mock-up of what they think the new Titans logo. I just tweeted the Titans like, get that man a check. All right, see, this was James Ryan's rendition. I would be to see Cam. But this right here, with what they're showing us, what the helmets and the uniforms would look like I think this is pretty cold, bro. Like, I hope that they have some navy blue rendition of it. But to me, this is tough, bro. Like, Titans roll out with this on, that's futuristic looking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, Titans roll out with that, because y'all remember how the color rush blues was that Mariota and Derrick Henry and them had. He roll out there in something like this with some red with some red shoes on or something, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie, with some new players, this gonna look tough. I'm saying, like, this to me, that's gonna look tough. I know everybody's got their own thoughts about it. Most of the time, it's people from Tennessee that's butthurt, or people from Houston that's butthurt about it, which is just goofy. If the Houston Texans in the next 25 years ever win a divisional round playoff game, then I'll listen to them cry about jerseys. Until they win a divisional round game, I am not listening to nobody from Houston talk about trying to renege and get them colors back. I had somebody in my comments say the Titans don't own the colors. What the hell could you possibly mean they don't own the colors? People just be saying shit. He said, I remember Warren Moon. But I mean, Warren Moon is class of 78. Like, think about how old Warren Moon is, saying it looks futuristic. To him, like, everything that they wearing damn near we should be realistic, futuristic. No disrespect to Warren Moon. I'm saying, like if what I just showed you to me looks futuristic. Love the content. Give it a good word. My question is, who would you want to pick at 4? Have you done? I've done a bunch of mock drafts. I got some on my YouTube channel where I've like went in depth. I started doing mock drafts. My chat will tell you back in November, back when they demoted Callahan, I started doing mock drafts, and I do mock drafts every week. But on my YouTube page, I've got some breakdowns where I went over who I would draft. I got some mock drafts on my page. But honestly, the question is, with Dante Moore and Trinidad Chandler's going back to school and Ty Simpson not having a good showing in the playoffs, Fernando Mendoza is the number one, probably going to the Raiders. Depending on what the Cardinals do at 3 with Kyler Murray and what the Jets, who have 2 first-round picks, do at 2, we're subject that Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain can be off the board. And I'm just not this crazy David Bailey fan, because if they're going to be running the nickel wide, I just think that he's too weak in the run game to burn the 4th pick on him. I think, you can see the Titans go outside the box, and that's when you might see a Jeremiah Love, you might see a Caleb Downs, you might see them trade back, you might see them take a shot at receiver at Jordan Tyson or Cardell Tate. But it's interesting to see. But I think the free agent period of what the Titans could do with all that money, we've been over in this stream earlier. You'll be able to see that replay on YouTube if you want to see the whole breakdown of position by position if they're filling holes. Like if they go out and spend money on Trey Hendrickson at edge and Femi comes back for year 2 and Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain are off the board, I'm not seeing them go after David Bailey. I'm seeing them attack other positions. So Titans have like 34 people under contract. They're going to have to add 20 to 25 people, including rookies, onto this roster. There's a few people that I'd extend and bring back. And outside of that, then, you got to go best player available to try to fill this entire 53. But if I had my 4 and Bain and Reese was off the board, I'd be looking at trade back options to try to double dip the chip. But I wouldn't be scared to take a Jeremiah Love or Caleb Downs, who to me are the 2 most complete players in the draft. And then if you took Caleb Downs, you'd be moving Kevin Winston into the box in the Emin Warrior role. So I got to see what they're going to do. It's going to be a new defense, a new scheme, a new coaching staff. Like, do they want Kevin Winston to play back deep? Do they want him to play in the box? That also affects what you do with Marcus Harris. What do they do with Snead? What do they do with Reed? What do they do at tight end? It's a lot of things that we went over in this draft, but it's definitely, you want to give yourself the most amount of options and not be boxed into a corner of just having to draft a position. You want to be able to take the best player available. Your body holds trauma, it does. Houston, more, but you got to remember how much blue we allowed them to have. Yo, my dog Comedy 2 Times. Yeah, everybody stop and wish Comedy 2 Times, a chat veteran, his birthday today, man. Shout out to my dog Comedy 2 Times, man. Happy birthday. Lads, what up? They said we're supposed to be wearing rivalry jerseys, and I'm thinking it's going to be the navy blue with the baby blue accents. I can see that. Like, I just want something new. Like, we've been having the same. This is my old Chris Johnson jersey. Like, we've been having the same style jerseys. Like my daughter and my wife, they be wearing this Mariota jersey. I still got my Mariota. Like, nothing looks any different. You know what I'm saying? Like, it honestly doesn't look any different. Only thing's different on the jerseys right now is the name on the back. That's honestly why y'all can't see it outside of it, but that's a Buddha jersey. That's a Buddha jersey because, like, I'll just like get my name on it rather than like some player they're gonna trade. That's an hour in the shop talk, man. Y'all got any more questions before we take our recess? We'll be back on the night stream. If y'all missed it yesterday, 4 hours on Fallout 76. We're gonna be giving y'all some similar to that tonight. I'm addicted to Fallout and I've been enjoying playing it. It's made me actually enjoy gaming again. Any more questions? Any more football questions? And if y'all think of something when I get off stream, just drop it in the comments on the YouTube. I'll make it part of the weekly mailbag. NC boy, what's good? All right, y'all. That has been the Shop Talk. 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. This will be uploaded on YouTube. Y'all will be able to watch it back. Do me a favor. Hit that like, comment, share, drop any questions, engage with the YouTube. We're really close to being partnered on YouTube. Y'all know we multi-streaming every day. I'll be back on the late night. I'll run it back with some gaming, but definitely I've took a few days off for Shop Talk. It was Valentine weekend. It's my daughter's birthday. Y'all know I've been upgrading the stream room and her room and doing a lot of things. So we'll be back on regular schedule with the daily Shop Talks after today. God first in the chat. Appreciate y'all, man. We out.